First contact, first blood. The void of space stretched endlessly around the UES Aurora, a mid-sized exploration vessel on its return journey to Earth. Captain Alina Kowalski stood on the bridge, her experienced eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded her command chair. 20 years in the United Earth Space Force had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every nerve in her body was screaming that something wasn't right. "Status report, Lieutenant Chen," she called out, her voice steady despite the unease churning in her gut. Lieutenant Chen, a brilliant young officer with a gift for sensor analysis, looked up from his station. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're on course for the Arcturus jump point. ETA 4 hours." Elena nodded, but the tension in her shoulders remained. The Aurora was carrying valuable data from their expedition to the Epsilon Eridani system. Astronomical readings, geological samples, and most importantly, evidence of microbial life found on the system's second planet. It wasn't first contact material, but it was another piece in humanity's growing understanding of life in the universe. "Captain." Chen's voice cut through her thoughts, suddenly sharp with alarm. Unknown signatures dropping out of FTL at bearing 047, distance 400,000 kilometers and closing. Alina's head snapped up. "Show me." The main view screen shifted to display a cluster of vessels unlike anything in human records. They moved with an unsettling organic grace, their hulls gleaming with a metallic iridescence that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the distant starlight. 7 vessels detected, reported Lieutenant Commander Rivera from Tactical. Configuration unknown. No match in our databases. "Open a channel," Alina ordered. "All frequencies, first contact protocols." Communications Officer Park worked her console with practiced efficiency. "Channel open. Broadcasting greeting package." Elena stood, straightening her uniform as she addressed the unknown vessels. "This is Captain Alina Kowalski of the United Earth vessel Aurora. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and wish to establish friendly communication." Seconds stretched into minutes with no response from the alien vessels. "They're accelerating, Captain," Chen reported, his voice tense. "Formation suggests offensive positioning. Yellow alert. Raise shields," Alina ordered without hesitation. First contact protocols emphasized peaceful intentions, but she hadn't survived 2 decades in deep space by being naive. "Captain," Rivera interjected, "regulations state that we should maintain open posture until hostile intent is clearly demonstrated." Elena finished for him. "I'm not firing on them, Commander. Just making sure we're not caught with our pants down if they're not feeling friendly." The decision proved prescient when moments later, the lead alien vessel fired a pulsing energy beam that slammed into the Aurora's forward shields. Shields holding at 92%, Rivera reported, all hesitation gone from his voice. "They're firing again. Red alert." Elena barked, dropping back into her command chair as the ship shuddered under another impact. "Evasive pattern Delta 6. Return fire, targeting weapons systems only." The Aurora banked sharply, its much smaller size granting it maneuverability that the larger alien vessels couldn't match. Rivera's fingers danced across his tactical console, and the ship's defensive systems responded, sending precisely targeted energy pulses toward the lead attacker. "Direct hit," Rivera announced with professional satisfaction. "Their forward weapon system appears damaged." But the aliens weren't deterred. 3 of the smaller vessels broke formation, accelerating toward the Aurora with predatory intent. "Captain, we're being scanned," Chen reported, his voice tight. "They're prodding our shields, looking for weaknesses." Elena's mind raced. The Aurora wasn't a warship. It was an exploration vessel with defensive capabilities. They couldn't win a prolonged battle against 7 hostile ships. "Plot a course for the Arcturus jump point, maximum speed," she ordered. "We need to warn Earth about this encounter." "Course plotted," the navigator confirmed. "Captain, they're launching some kind of projectiles," Rivera warned. "Trajectory analysis suggests they're boarding pods." Elena's eyes narrowed. So the aliens wanted to take the Aurora intact. That suggested they were after either the ship itself or its cargo. Either way, she had no intention of letting that happen. "Target those pods with point defense systems," she ordered, "and prepare the Zephyr protocol." Rivera's head snapped up in surprise. "Captain, the Zephyr protocol is experimental. It's never been field tested under combat conditions." "Consider this the field test," Elena replied grimly. "We're outgunned and outnumbered, Commander. Time to show these aggressors that humanity has a few tricks up our sleeve." The point defense systems activated, spitting streams of hypervelocity projectiles that intercepted 2 of the 3 boarding pods, turning them into expanding clouds of debris. The 3rd pod, however, managed to evade the defensive fire and slammed into the Aurora's hull near the engineering section. "Hull breach on Deck C," reported the damage control officer. "Emergency bulkheads active. Intruder alert in engineering." Elena tapped her command console. "Security teams to engineering. Repel boarders." She turned to Rivera. "Status on the Zephyr protocol." "Initialization complete," Rivera confirmed. "Awaiting your command." Elena took a deep breath. The Zephyr protocol was a last resort defensive system, developed after humanity's disastrous first encounter with the Ceradian pirates 15 years earlier. It utilized quantum entanglement principles to create localized space-time distortions, essentially a controlled gravity weapon that could disrupt the structural integrity of enemy vessels without destroying them completely. "Target the lead vessel and activate Zephyr," Elena ordered. Rivera input the commands, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then on the view screen, the space around the lead alien ship appeared to ripple, as though reality itself was buckling. The alien vessel shuddered, its graceful lines suddenly distorted as hull plates buckled and tore under forces they were never designed to withstand. "Zephyr effective," Rivera reported, unable to keep the awe from his voice. "Target vessel experiencing catastrophic structural failures." The alien ship didn't explode so much as it collapsed, folding in on itself as the artificially generated gravitational forces crushed it into a fraction of its original size. The effect on the remaining alien vessels was immediate. They broke formation, their movements suddenly erratic and disorganized. "They're retreating," Chen announced, but Elena wasn't celebrating yet. "What about our boarders?" she demanded. "Security reports they've contained the intruders in engineering," the tactical officer replied. "1 alien captured alive. 3 security personnel wounded, none critical." Elena nodded grimly. "Have the aliens secured in the high-security holding cell? I want to know who attacked us and why." As the alien fleet disappeared back into FTL, leaving only debris and unanswered questions behind, Elena stared at the view screen, her expression resolute. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed," she ordered, "and get me everything we can learn from our guest. If this was first contact with a new species, it certainly won't be the last we see of them." The Aurora's engines hummed to life, propelling the ship toward home with its precious cargo, not just the scientific discoveries they'd set out to find, but now something potentially far more valuable: intelligence about a new threat to humanity's place among the stars. The price of underestimation. Captain Elena Kowalski stood outside the high-security holding cell, studying the alien captive through the one-way transparency of the force field. The creature was tall, nearly 7 feet, with a slender build that belied the inhuman strength her security team had reported. Its skin had the same iridescent quality as its vessels, shifting between deep purple and midnight blue depending on the angle of light. Where a human would have a face, this being had a smooth, featureless surface with 3 vertical slits that pulsed with bioluminescence when it communicated. "Has it said anything?" Elena asked Dr. Morgan, the Aurora's xenobiologist who had been monitoring the alien since its capture. "Not in any way we can interpret," Morgan replied, fascination evident in her voice despite the circumstances. "But its physiological responses suggest intelligence comparable to or exceeding our own." The neural activity patterns are extraordinary. Chief Science Officer Takahashi joined them, carrying a datapad. We've been analyzing the debris from the destroyed vessels. The technology is unlike anything in our databases, some kind of biomechanical hybrid. Their weapon systems appear to harness dark energy in ways our physicists have only theorized about. Elena absorbed this information, her expression grim. So we're dealing with an advanced species with superior technology who attacked without provocation. The question is why? Perhaps we can ask, Takahashi suggested, indicating a device he brought with him. This is a prototype universal translator based on neural pattern recognition. It might help establish communication. Elena nodded her approval, and Takahashi activated the device, placing it near the force field. At first, there was nothing. Then, a series of harmonic vibrations emerged from the alien, which the translator processed before producing a halting synthetic voice. Inferior vessel, unexpected resistance. The Voidborn do not negotiate with prey species. Elena's eyes narrowed. Prey species. More vibrations, more translation. All non-Voidborn. Resources to be harvested. Resistance is anomalous. Will be studied. The implications chilled Elena to the bone. This wasn't just an unfortunate misunderstanding or territorial dispute. These Voidborn apparently considered other intelligent species as nothing more than resources to be exploited. Ask it how many worlds they've harvested. Elena instructed Takahashi. The science officer input the query, and after a moment, the translator rendered the alien's response. 37 civilizations. Processed. Thousands more. Cataloged. Your world. Scheduled for immediate attention. Elena exchanged alarmed glances with her officers. Earth is in danger, she stated flatly. We need to get this information back immediately. As they turned to leave, the alien emitted another series of vibrations, which the translator converted with chilling clarity. Your resistance technology. Unexpected. Valuable. The harvesters already approach your homeworld. You will not arrive in time. Elena strode quickly back to the bridge, her mind racing. If the alien was telling the truth, Earth faced an imminent threat from a technologically superior species with a history of destroying civilizations. Status report, she demanded as she entered the bridge. We're 6 hours from the Arcturus jump point, Chen reported. Maximum sustainable speed. Not fast enough, Elena muttered. She tapped her comm badge. Engineering, this is the captain. I need options for boosting our speed. Chief Engineer Rodriguez's voice came through, strained but determined. Captain, we could reconfigure the Zephyr system to create a gravitational slingshot. Theoretically, it could reduce our travel time by half. Theoretically? Elena questioned. It's never been attempted, Rodriguez admitted, and it would mean burning out the Zephyr system completely. One-time use only. Do it, Elena ordered without hesitation, and prepare a complete data package on the Voidborn. If we don't make it, any Earth vessel that finds our remains needs to know what they're facing. While engineering worked on the gravitational slingshot, Elena called a meeting of her senior staff to develop a strategy. If they reached Earth in time, they needed to be ready with actionable intelligence and recommendations. The Voidborn technology has one significant vulnerability, Takahashi explained, displaying his analysis. Their biomechanical systems are highly sensitive to specific electromagnetic frequencies. The same integration that gives them their advanced capabilities also creates this weakness. Can we exploit that? Elena asked. Definitely, Rodriguez confirmed. A properly calibrated EM pulse could temporarily disable their systems, but we'd need to get close, inside their defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Commander Rivera leaned forward. What if we don't just disable them? What if we turn their own technology against them? All eyes turned to the tactical officer, who continued, his excitement growing. The Zephyr protocol works by manipulating quantum fields. If we could adapt that principle to affect their biomechanical systems directly, we could potentially create a cascading failure throughout their entire fleet, Takahashi finished, catching on to Rivera's line of thinking. Elena nodded slowly. Work up the specifics. I want a deployable solution by the time we reach Earth. She stood, her resolve hardening. These Voidborn think they found another easy conquest. We're going to show them that humanity doesn't go quietly into the night. 3 hours later, the Aurora approached the Arcturus jump point. The ship's systems pushed well beyond their design specifications. The modified Zephyr system hummed ominously in engineering as Rodriguez made the final adjustments. Gravitational slingshot ready, Captain, Rodriguez reported. I should warn you. The acceleration will push our inertial dampeners to their limits. It's going to be a rough ride. All hands, secure for extreme maneuvers, Elena announced shipwide. This is not a drill. As the crew braced themselves, Elena gave the order. Activate slingshot. The universe seemed to stretch around them as the Zephyr system generated a precisely calculated gravitational distortion ahead of the Aurora. The ship lurched forward, accelerating at a rate that had the inertial dampeners screaming in protest. On the bridge, crew members were pressed back into their seats, some losing consciousness despite the dampening field. Elena gripped her command chair, forcing herself to remain awake through sheer willpower as the stars blurred around them. The jump point approached at an impossible speed, and then they were through, the gravitational slingshot effect dissipating as the Zephyr system burned itself out with a cascade of blown circuits. Damage report, Elena gasped as the crushing pressure eased. Multiple systems damage, Rivera reported, his voice hoarse. But main propulsion and defensive capabilities are intact. We've arrived at Sol system. Elena straightened in her chair. Communications, send emergency broadcast to Earth Defense Command. Code Omega. Include all data on the Voidborn threat. Transmission sent, Park confirmed. Receiving acknowledgement. Captain, Earth Defense reports multiple unknown vessels already in the system. They're engaged with the home fleet near Mars orbit. Elena's expression hardened. On screen. The main view screen displayed a tactical overview of the Sol system. A dozen Voidborn vessels, larger than those that had attacked the Aurora, were engaged with Earth's defensive fleet. Despite being outnumbered, the alien ships were inflicting heavy damage. Set course for the battle, Elena ordered. Tactical, prepare to deploy our modified Zephyr weapon. As the Aurora approached the conflict zone, they received a transmission from Admiral Zhao of Earth Defense Command. Aurora, your intelligence data has been received. Our conventional weapons are proving ineffective against these hostiles. Please advise if your countermeasure is ready for deployment. We're ready, Admiral, Elena confirmed. But we need to get close to their command vessel. Can your fleet create a diversion? Consider it done, Captain, Zhao replied grimly. Good hunting. The Earth fleet adjusted its tactics, concentrating fire on the peripheral Voidborn vessels while leaving a narrow corridor toward their apparent flagship, a massive vessel at the center of their formation. Take us in, helmsman, Elena ordered. Full speed. The Aurora accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet, evading sporadic fire as Earth's ships drew the enemy's attention elsewhere. Weapons range in 30 seconds, Rivera reported. Prepare to deploy modified Zephyr on my mark, Elena commanded. The Aurora shuddered as a glancing hit from one of the Voidborn vessels struck their aft shields. Shields at 60%, Rivera warned. Another direct hit could be problematic. Evasive pattern Kappa, Elena ordered. Stay on target. As they closed on the Voidborn flagship, Elena could see the massive vessel more clearly. It dwarfed the Aurora, its hull pulsing with the same unsettling bioluminescence as their captive. In range, Rivera announced. Deploy the weapon, Elena ordered without hesitation. The modified Zephyr device launched from the Aurora's torpedo bay, streaking toward the Voidborn flagship. It detonated before impact, releasing not an explosion but a precisely calibrated wave of quantum disruption, specifically tuned to the unique frequency of the void-borne biomechanical systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the flagship's lights flickered, and its weapons fell silent. The effect spread outward, jumping from ship to ship as the quantum disruption propagated through their linked systems. "It's working," Takahashi reported, unable to hide his amazement. "Their systems are turning against themselves." On the view screen, the void-borne vessels began to drift, their organic components convulsing as though in pain. The flagship's hull split along previously invisible seams, dark energy weapons powering down as the biomechanical interface that controlled them collapsed. "All void-borne vessels disabled," Rivera confirmed. "Earth fleet moving in to secure the remnants." Elena allowed herself a small smile of satisfaction. "Send a message to our guest. Tell the void-borne that humanity is not prey. We are not a resource to be harvested. We are the defenders of our home, and we will not go quietly." In the days that followed, as Earth scientists studied the captured void-borne technology and prepared for the possibility of further incursions, the story of the Aurora's stand against an overwhelming alien force spread throughout human space. Captain Elena Kowalski and her crew became symbols of humanity's resilience and ingenuity in the face of cosmic threats. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, the survivors of the void-borne fleet carried a message back to their kind. A warning about a species that refused to be harvested, that fought back against overwhelming odds, and that turned the Predator's own weapons against them. Humanity had announced its presence in the galactic community not with diplomatic overtures or scientific achievements, but with an unmistakable declaration: "Underestimate us at your peril."